been defined by WHO as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being, and not merely the absence of disease. Doctors like us tend to treat diseases, but Pooja, with a wealth of experience behind her from one to the other profession, is now going to tell us a lot more about the aspect of health that we doctors don't deal with, more to do with the wellness piece. Now, it has been traditionally said that there are 7 dimensions of health: the physical dimension, the emotional dimension, the intellectual dimension, the spiritual dimension, the social dimension, the environmental dimension, and last but not the least, the occupational dimension. Pooja has changed her occupation from time to time. And coming from a stock that everyone recognizes as amongst the best, her father, Kabir Bedi, was the epitome of handsomeness, and his voice quality, his sheer screen presence really impressed one and all. And her mother, Pratima, was a wonderful dancer, and both of them must have given her the kind of upbringing that very few of us can imagine. They were both, during their period of time, somewhat unconventional in the way that they treated life, or frankly, they couldn't care less what life threw at them. And I'm quite sure that over a period of time, growing up in such somewhat unusual circumstances, Pooja must have imbibed quite a lot of that. And we do see that happening with Pooja, because off and on we do hear certain comments from her occasionally, which kind of shock a certain people and delight others. Pooja, it's my proud privilege to welcome you to this show. Great having you with us. And more importantly, I would like to start by getting the viewers to know you as the person before we get talking about health wellness. How was it growing up in the kind of household with 2 stalwarts who were unconventional to say the least?
Well, I'm a living example of what happens when you grow up with parents like that. They say the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. So I would say that, of course, it's been an incredible journey. It's been shaped with with various influences over the course of the years. I don't know how well versed people are about my lineage that goes a little beyond my mother and father. My grandfather, who was my father's father, Baba Bedi, was a spiritual healer, and he basically had this incredible community in Italy and this institute that was founded for his healing practices, where he would heal thousands of people, and there'd be lines going around this block in Italy waiting to be healed by Baba Bedi. And I, as a child, never understood it, and I, being of very logical bent of mind, poo-pooed the whole thing and said, how is that possible? I want proof. What is all this? How is it, this is all drama. But the fact is, people were being healed. And the fact is, people who came in with kidney stones were then leaving without kidney stones. And people who had cancers and were given 6 months to live were then living 25 years and, in fact, running his institute. 25 years later. So obviously there was something incredible happening in certain energetic worlds that perhaps I didn't understand. And perhaps at the end of the day that I was irreverent of in many ways. My grandmother, Frida Bedi, was an English lady. She has 3 books written on her remarkable life. She basically met my grandfather at Oxford. She fought the freedom struggle in India against the British, despite being British. And she then chose to become a nun in the Buddhist monastery under His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. So you had this incredible journey of a woman and her political ideologies, her social ideologies, and she rose to becoming one of the highest ordained nuns of the Buddhist faith. There's this incredible nunnery in Trilokpur, below Dharamshala, which she founded. And when you walk in, you have His Holiness the Karmapa, the Dalai Lama, as well as my Dadi, all their photos on the altar. There's so much of love and respect. So it's really overwhelming when you kind of see where the whole history comes from. And my mother, who's full of Osho and Carl Jung and J. Krishnamurti and Freud, and so I grew up with all these thoughts. And then of course mythology and religion. So there was this whole big what do you say, symphony going on in my head throughout my growing years. And of course, the fact is, we are people who kind of led our lives on our own terms. We really revel in life itself, the passion and joy of being alive and on being on this planet, and breaking rules and boundaries that limit you in every possible way, yet being lawful most of the time. and and
Tell me, so tell me, with so many noises going on in your head, how did you retain your sanity?
I don't think I did. I don't think there's any part of me that is considered conventional in any real terms. I think when people first meet me and they see me with my effervescence and my joy and the way I talk, a majority of people when they first meet me look at me and think that I'm on drugs. Okay. And there I am, wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm go, 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 go. And I'm till 2 in the morning. I'm still, go, go, go. And they're like, she must be doing cocaine. Okay. And then I'm a very affectionate person and I hug and I kiss and very physical and ecstasy. She must be doing ecstasy. And then, of course, I got into the spiritual sciences and Reiki and meta sciences and energy healing. That's it. LSD, some hallucinogenic. And then when people get to know me, they sort of know that I'm completely averse to drugs in any form. I don't even smoke cigarettes. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. And then they kind of wonder, so then how is that normal? How is it possible that she could be like this when she doesn't touch any of those substances? And I just attribute so much of it to the way I've been brought up, to the kind of thoughts that have been implanted into my subconscious mind, which is incredibly powerful as to how to just maintain a certain positive persona, a certain aura, and how to deal with all the shit that happens in everybody's life, but take it in a positive way, because nobody's life is shit free. There is none of us that hasn't had shit in their life. And it's everybody's story. Everybody will experience heartbreak of some kind. Everybody will experience the death of a loved one. Everybody will experience ups and downs in their businesses. Everybody's going to experience the same shit. But everybody thinks that pain and grief is exclusive to them. And your journey of life is not defined by what happens to you, because the same thing is happening across the board to everybody. Your journey of life is defined as to how you respond to whatever happens to you. And that response is what I was taught so well while growing up.
Well, I'm very surprised people labeled you with all those drugs. A simpler explanation might well have been coffee. Coffee
I'm
would
not really a
explain.
coffee person either.
Okay. So
Maybe
you've done
tea.
so you've done many hats. We saw you as an actor, then you moved on to being a talk show host, then you became a reality TV star. I've read some of your columns when you've advised youngsters in heartbreak and in losing their boyfriends and girlfriends, etc., etc. And now you're an entrepreneur. I mean, you've been like a butterfly who's kind of sucked the nectar from various flowers, developed this experience. So, what has been the experience so far of going through all these kinds of varying professional avatars? What have you gained? What has given you the greatest joy? What is your fulfillment like?
At one point of time, I was quite disheartened because I thought I was going to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. Okay. And there were various verticals in my life where I sort of embarked on certain things and diverted and sort of went with the flow, so to speak, and came into something completely different than I'd ever anticipated or expected. And I think to me, the most important thing has always been passion and the concept of 100%, which is whatever it is that you choose to do in your life, give it your 100%. So when I entered films, I was there gung ho. And when I was in school, let's go back to school. When I was in school, I was a class topper. I was in the basketball team, I was in the debating team, I was in the hockey team, I was in the swimming team, I was number one in my academics. I was, ruling that space. When I got into movies, I was at it. And when I got married, I chucked it all up for holy matrimony, saying, I'm going to be the best wife. And then I went out there and I learned all the cooking courses and I did napkin folding courses, I did vegetable carving courses, so my table would look great. I had kids. I wanted to be the best mother. When I was a divorcee, I wanted to be the best divorcee, and hung on to the notion of being the best divorcee and being great friends with my ex-husband, and went to his wedding when he married Lila, and was dancing there with my kids when he was getting married. So, and as a single mom, taking the journey of being a single mom out to its 100% of being the best single mom, cut to then I'm a reality show star and I'm jumping off helicopters and lying in a pit of snakes and, doing these flips and dance sequences on stage in my mid 30s. And then, of course, after that, kind of meander into my column writing and then into my Happy Soul workshops. But so interestingly, Dr. Puri, the most interesting thing is that all those dots have not just been strung together, but they have all connected together today to result in Happy Soul. Today, it is that academics, being good at academics, that has led me to have a certain business acumen. It's been a result of the fame and publicity that I've enjoyed, that I'm able to be on forums like this and advocate and talk about my company and gather those kind of eyeballs and traffic and media attention to my company. It is the journey I've had of exploring these different meta sciences that has again led to Happy Soul. It has been my journey of writing 15 years of a relationship column that led to so many things that have led again into Happy Soul. It is phenomenal when I see today how every single dot along the way has led me to Happy Soul, and each of them in turn has added weight to my journey of Happy Soul. So it's really interesting to me to realize that today, where I'm poised to be, I'm going to be the master of the wellness space as a result of having been a jack of all trades in all the other roles I've played.
Well, you are a psychologist's nightmare, or shall I say, delight? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that you've, as you rightly point out, you've probably learned from each and every morsel that life has had to offer to you. And there
Yes.
must be some kind of a genetic influence, particularly of your grandparents, that has resulted in you getting into this new venture which you call Happy Soul. Could you
Mhm.
elaborate a little bit more about it?
Okay, so essentially, Happy Soul is meant to be the sort of wellness wonderland. Now, I know when we talk about healthcare as per se, it's more traditional and it's more what I call sick care, because in healthcare, you're generally caring for the sick. In wellness, it's all about the physical body in healthcare. Now, in the world of wellness, as we call it, it's more about being preventive and preventive sciences and using natural sciences and traditional sciences in order to heal the body from the root. So a large part of allopathy and modern medicine treats you on a very symptom level, and on a level of, if there's a cancer, you remove the cancer. If there's a tumor, you remove the tumor. If there's a lung problem, you deal with the lung. You transplant, a kidney. But in alternative sciences, you go down to the root of why it is that particular part of the body was diseased in the first place, why you got cancer in the first place. There are many smokers who smoke their entire lives and they don't get cancer. And there are people who've never smoked a day in their life and they get lung cancer, right? So there's some sort of asymmetry to the processes of what we call cancer, carcinogenic products, and at the end of the day, it's the human body's response. So what is training your body as an individual to respond differently to different stimuli? And it all starts with the brain. Martina Navratilova was asked at the age of 43 how she played such a fine game. She has this great physique, she has a great focus, she plays a fine game of tennis, and how does she do it? And she said, the ball doesn't know how old I am. And the game of life is not played on a tennis court. The game of life is not played at office. Game of life is not played at home. The game of life is played in 6 inches, which is the area between your ears. Everything that happens in there, and that leads to different processes within the body. So in Happy Soul, we explore all the different verticals of wellness, which is vis-a-vis, I've started, for example, an e-commerce platform. On this e-commerce platform, you have the physical body, so there are products which are organic. You have food and drink and a whole bunch of other things that are really good for you. There's hair care, skin care. So what you're applying on the surface of your body, chemical-free, paraben-free, sulfate-free. We don't realize our skin is the second largest organ of our body, in terms of surface area. And what you put on it, every single chemical that you're coating, thinking, oh, this lovely soap and oh, this lovely shampoo, essentially is seeping into your skin and seeping into these layers over and over and over, day after day, causing, untold damage over the years. So There's that. Then, of course, there's the concept of even the holiday section. So if you want to take a holiday, if you want to go on a spa holiday, a detox holiday, eco-friendly holiday, adventure holiday, a meditation holiday, a yoga holiday, you go to Happy Soul, and there are lists of incredible places we have in India that will offer you that. So a chance to recover, a chance to recuperate before you can even fall ill, or if you've fallen ill, a chance to then heal yourself in multiple ways. There's so incredible things happening in the world of Ayurveda, in the world of alternative healing. It's phenomenal. We also have access to a lot of therapists and trainers and healers and energy, people who are into energy healing, as well as psychotherapists, neurolinguistic programmers, clinical hypnotherapists. All of this is so important to us as a human being. And I think it's phenomenal when you actually enter this wellness wonderland and you have recipes there that you can, toss up, which are fabulous for you. You have blogs you can read and educate yourself on so much. So it's like a little wellness wonderland that you enter into. And this was our website venture, which then also came into a retail venture. And essentially, we are franchising our retail model. So, oh, and for all of you out there who are watching this currently, we have a stall at Fiki. So please visit our stall. We have a retail model available. Please come and retail with Happy Soul. We have incredible products as well. We have a product line of aromatherapy candles and all sorts of wonderful incense and home decor. Please come and purchase our products and tie up with us. And there are many other wonderful things. We're starting channels so we can educate people. We're interviewing the best experts in all fields, whether it's fitness, whether it's healthcare, whether it's psychology, whether it's energy healing, whether it's what are e-cycles, everything to do with the world of wellness. And the interesting part, Dr. Puri, is that in this, wellness is a $6 trillion industry globally. I think India has about a 500 billion share in it. And it's a very fast growing industry. I mean, in COVID times, it's fast growing. When people are sick, they turn to healthcare, to wellness. And when they're well, again, they turn to wellness to pamper themselves. It's like alcohol, right? Anyone's happy, you want to celebrate, drink alcohol. You're sad, you're miserable, drink alcohol. Alcohol can never go out of fashion. And it's the same with wellness as an industry. It's an ever booming industry. So these are the different verticals we're in, as of now. We intend also to have wellness festivals, wellness awards, and all sorts of things. So it's a very exciting journey, Happy Soul. It's very personal to me because when I started doing my workshops, I did a lot for Fiki. I've done a lot of workshops for Fiki Flow, many chapters across the country, from Kanpur to Kolkata to Ahmedabad to Dehradun, and many, many, many chapters. I just did an online 4 session for Fiki Flow in Amritsar. And it's phenomenal how the power of the mind, just thoughts being put out there can shape human beings so fundamentally and on such a deep level. I've had women break down and cry and have catharsis and come back to me a few weeks or maybe a couple of months later and say how their lives have just completely changed post that session. And when I look at that and I think, wow, I really didn't do anything that great. I just went out there and I shared thoughts, I shared my learnings, I shared my experiences, I shared perspectives. I helped empower people to start thinking differently. And it all starts with that. It all starts with the way you think, which leads to the way you feel, which leads to the way you react, which leads to your reality around you. And I think that's very important, for me to not just say, oh, Pooja is there to help you, but my God, we have an ocean of incredible people out there, who you will find on Happy Soul. We've listed the best practitioners. So come on there and, it's free. You can just go out there, get their contact details and contact them and change your life in whatever way you would like to, because I want to see the world healthier and happier. I don't like it when I look around me, I see so much of sadness, pain and suffering and grief and, so much unnecessary sadness, pain, grief, and suffering. I mean, I think it's so easy to put an end to so much. And it's just about people wanting to and having access to those resources. And that's what I intend to provide people.
So, Pooja, it's been said by a wise man that health is a state of the body, whereas wellness is a state of mind. How would you
Mm-hmm.
react to that?
Well, people who are familiar with Louise Hay, I don't know how many people here are familiar with Louise Hay. She's written these books called Heal Your Life, this whole series called Heal Your Life. And everything is about the power of your thoughts that translate into your emotions, that then translate into your body vis-a-vis disease or well-being. So it's phenomenal. If you just Google, if you go to alchemyofhealing.com and you just type out I mean, basically, it's got A to Z, every single disease or infliction that you could possibly have, affliction you could possibly have, from acne to cancer to paralysis to your right leg breaking or your kidney issues or heart issues. Everything alphabetically is listed, and the probable cause, which was emotional, okay, that led to the physical disease in the body. Now, this is something that's been researched over and over and over again. When you study the correlation between your thoughts and your emotions, so um, I'm not, how do I say this? Okay, let me make this brief. So when the scientists sit down with you and they have these brain mapping machines and they ask you all sorts of questions, and in certain times your left hemisphere lights up and right hemisphere lights up, and they're always trying to figure out creative side or logical brain, and they're trying to do all these things. Fact is, no matter what it is, the electrical impulses being sent out, which is visible vis-a-vis the equipment that is picking up on those electrical impulses. At the same time, your thoughts lead to emotions. I show you the photograph of something that's really, really frightening or scary. Your heart rate increases dramatically. And that can be measured again on an ECG machine, an electrocardiogram machine. So your thought is sending out electricity, leading to your emotions. Your emotions are sending out electrical impulses, right? So the greater the thought, the greater the emotion, right? The association. Now, when you have extreme emotion towards something, right, you are sending out a certain frequency. Everything has a frequency. There's a Dr. Masaru Emoto in Japan who did a series of experiments with water. And what he essentially did is he took water, say, for example, polluted water from the Fujiwara Dam, and then had monks offer prayers on it. And then he would take these different water, the same water, one with prayers, one without, and freeze it. And then he would examine it under a microscope. And the difference in the crystalline structure in both is outstanding. It's you can't believe one looks like a piece of jewelry and one looks like a piece of dirt. And then he did the same thing with just emotions. He just poured emotions. He took just normal distilled water and he poured emotions into one, saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Froze the water, took photographs. Into one, he poured hate. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And again, froze it and photographed it under the microscope. He did that with music. He photographed Beethoven's music, very sad composition. He did that for the Kawachi folk dance. He did that with heavy metal music. He did that with healing music. And it's incredible when you see the different crystalline forms as to how the same water, the same body of water, can change so dramatically with different influences, whether it's thought, whether it's sound, whether it's emotions, and intent. He just put intent. He said, forget the emotions. Let me just write, I hate you and I love you. Just put the words on the water and see what happens. And again, dramatically different crystal structures. Our body is 70% water. Can you imagine every time we have a thought and we amplify that thought, what happens within our bodies? And continuously, when we are fearful or we're negating things or we're living with a certain level of stress continuously in our body and certain what we call toxic thoughts constantly churning in our mind of anger or frustration and anxiety and all of that, can you imagine the resonance that's constantly taking place within your being, naturally leading to a state of disease? And it's incredible that, Louise Hay says, you create your disease, you can also uncreate your disease. And that's what we're talking about, working from the root. So as much as, you may go in for a cancer treatment and you may then zap all the cancer cells and you think it's gone and then suddenly it reemerges. That's because the root and the seed is still active. The emotional root and seed is still active in that person. You delete the emotional seed and it'll never resurface again. So these are the kind of very deep healing alternative therapies and sciences which are being explored today. And, and and it doesn't have to be exclusive of medical science. It can be done in conjunction with medical science. It can be done, as a hand-in-hand system of working together to help people emotionally, mentally, physically. As you said, there's so many different verticals of wellness. There's emotional wellness, physical wellness, financial wellness, sexual wellness, social wellness, and spiritual wellness. And all of it is all encompassing because we are these incredible beings, we're these incredible. I always say, when people say, Pooja, you into spirituality? And I laugh and I say, listen, we're not human beings seeking the spiritual existence. We are spiritual beings who've come here to have a human experience. We've come here to make the most of this beautiful journey called life. We're going to go back and become spirits again. We're going to go back into the beautiful cosmos. And again, our souls will be liberated. There's, mukti mil gayi, and all this stuff. So it's true. So you're going to go back into that. So while you're here on earth, Enjoy your human journey. You are going to experience pain, sadness, grief, frustration. It's normal. That's what happens. As much as, you will have joy and excitement and passion and love and, all of that in your life too. So you don't fear the good times. Don't fear the bad times. Enjoy the entire experience of being human. It's not normal to sit in a corner and just laugh your head off all day. People would look at that and say, "Arey, pagal hai." Right? It's completely normal to feel sad. I would say do not deny yourself the right to feel sad. You must experience that. It's incredibly important too. And you must enjoy that experience because it's a very human experience. You learn from it. You learn, your greatest learnings have come from pain, from frustration, from sadness, from defeat. And that's when you learned a lot about yourself, about life, about your inner strength. There's so many lessons that come out of a painful experience. And that is what you should nurture and look forward to growing with and from. And that's something I teach a lot during my sessions and my seminars.
I'm intrigued by something that you talk about. That is, you call it inner or internal cleansing. So
Yeah.
that you kind of differentiate. Are you talking about the internal cleansing to mean the heart unclogging the artery, or are you going even deeper and you're meaning it more spiritually?
Well, I mean, there are various ways you could take it. If it was to be physical, it would be more like detox, and that's like an internal cleansing where you sort of take out all the built up in toxins that have been building up in your body and your being. And enemas, for example, that's again inner cleansing in so many ways. You take these wonderful colon treatments, and you take all those things. That's all, I guess, part of physical inner cleansing. But I think what is also incredibly important is inner cleansing of your emotional state. We carry so much baggage with us over the years that we burden ourselves with, so many limiting thought processes and patterns in our lives that we cause and inflict upon ourselves over and over again. And sometimes we don't even realize that these patterns exist and that they limit us in so many ways. If you talk about even financial success, for that matters, financial wellness is a very important part of our lives. And a lot of us judge ourselves and our success in life only and purely based on our financial parameters. I'm successful because I made a lot of money. I'm a failure because I haven't made money. You don't look at, what else you've surrounded yourself with and what amazing blessings you have around you, because all you're going by is the financials and your bank balances and what you prove to the world as a financial wizard or not, which is so sad. So for me, the entire cleansing has to be about you looking at yourself in a very holistic manner. Your inner cleansing is all about taking out that baggage. So any limiting thought processes you have, even towards money. Okay, so say for example, a lot of people in India especially have this negative attitude towards money. Okay, and that's why the poor get poorer and the rich get richer. Because essentially, if you're brought up to believe that rich people are bad people, money doesn't grow on trees, these things are something you hear all your life. Rich people are really decadent. Look at their lives. Look at how they live their lives. The richer you are, the more sort of decadent those people are, immoral those people are. Well, fact is, immorality is across all stratas and all classes. My buy's husband is having affairs, and so is one of the richest men in the world, probably. The richest man is probably doing drugs, and so is a little kid on the street who's sniffing gum. There's violence is happening across every single strata of society. Nobody's better than the others, but we're always deluding ourselves. Oh, we're the simple, nice, middle class people. We are not like them. What you're essentially doing is blocking yourself from success, because at the end of the day, if you believe being extremely wealthy is bad, you will never be of wealth, because you will do everything possible to self-sabotage yourself from reaching there. Because why would you want to be a bad person? Consciously, you may say, yes, I want it, yes, I want it, yes, I want it. But subconsciously, your subconscious mind, which is 6,000 times more powerful than your conscious mind, is resonating with, no, trust me, you don't want to be a bad person. You don't want to get all that money, because that will mean you'll become a bad person, because that's your programming. So there are so many limiting programs that we constantly inflict on ourselves. So clear yourself of all the garbage, all those thoughts that are limiting you in every possible way. Why is it that the same thing can happen to two people, and one will look at it so differently and crumble, and one will look at it and say, oh, I see, and go from strength to strength? It's all about the way you think. It's all about your programming. Right? One is taught to see a divorce as something negative and a failure, and one is taught to see that there's a stigma and that their life is over and their life is ruined, and that is what they will believe. And one person, say for example, in my case, say the other woman would say, life is over, mere saath kyun hua, mere do bacche hain, life to, kya karungi, and play that whole card. Or somebody could turn around like me and say, you know what, all right, it was 12 great years. Thank you for the 12 great years. It isn't happening anymore. That's okay. It doesn't mean I have to hate you, because of we had 12 good years. I'm not going to say cling to those 12 good years and have 50 bad years. And thank you for the good times. Thank you for those two beautiful children. And, let's be friends forever. And let me actually move on and find someone who actually genuinely loves me and is the right companion for the next part of my journey, and look forward to it positively. And that's what I've done. And today I'm happily engaged to the most wonderful man. My ex-husband is married to a wonderful woman. Everybody's gone from strength to strength. And that has everything to do with the way you think. So all the garbage that's put into our mind through societal influences and what we call seer programming, your social programming, your economic programming, your experiences that have taught you things, and your religious programming. So all of those programmings have come together to create so much clutter. So if something is not working for you, change it. If something is working for you, don't change it. It's as simple as that.
Well, you belong to the film industry in a way because of your father, and of course, you yourself, now your daughter. And the film industry these days is kind of in the lurch, so to say, to put it very mildly. It's been talked somewhat negatively about. What are your thoughts about the fact that there is, you say that you've never touched a cigarette, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't take drugs. What's your opinion about those who do? Is it so wrong if somebody kind of takes a drug or smokes? Or, I mean, I'm
See,
not talking as a doctor. As a doctor, I would never
look,
recommend that. But
I
I'm just asking you from the point of view of others sitting in judgment from the perspective of drugs.
Okay, so there are a couple of things. One is I grew up in a sex, drugs, rock and roll era. Okay, my parents were at the helm of the flower power movement in India. And I think they were surrounded by that world where everything was sex, drugs, rock and roll. I grew up seeing it all around me, right? I just chose, it was my decision very consciously as a small child, watching some stuff around me saying, I don't want my life to be like this. I want to grow up and I want to be different. Those were my choices. Everything in life is a choice. And firstly, we have to take responsibility for the fact that every single thing in our life is our choice, right? The woman you married, your choice. The kids you decided to have, your choice. The food on your table, your choice. The home you bought, your choice. The job you have, your choice. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I didn't want to marry him. My mother forced me to marry him. Well, you chose to allow your mother to force you to marry, allow you to marry, to force you into marrying him, right? Everything is a choice. There are many women out there who've not allowed their parents to force them into something, and they've chosen to ride off into the sunset and do their own thing. So every single thing is a choice. Now, when you blame others, okay, you get angry. Yeah, you blame the universe and karma and COVID, you feel helpless. You blame yourself, you feel guilty, right? There's no blame game here. Just accept everything in your life as your choice. You don't like your life, make better choices, right? Coming back to the matter of drugs, I personally believe each to their own, but it should be within the parameters of law. Unfortunately, in our country, certain things are unlawful, right? For example, you want to partake in pornography. Well, it's not lawful in our country. In America, it is lawful, right? You can go to America and have, the time of your life doing whatever you'd like there because certain things are legal there, but they're illegal here. Marijuana is legal in many states in America. It is illegal in our country, right? In Rome, do as the Romans do. However, having said that, I have tweeted and been in the eye of a storm for my tweets where I've turned around and questioned why the law is so different for a common person and so different for religion. And I have questioned why it's okay for sadhus to be smoking marijuana and not okay for citizens to be smoking marijuana. Why it's
Precisely
okay
why
for
I asked you this, because I saw your tweet.
haha. So and you saw me being trolled as well.
Yeah. So,
And I
to
and I wasn't, and I have to tell you, this is very funny. And I then questioned why the Naga Babas were allowed to roam around naked and Milan Soman wasn't allowed to run around naked on Goa beach, right? And that got me to the eye of the storm. How can you compare sadhus? And I said, if he gets arrested, they should get arrested. The law should be one. The land of the law of the land should be one. I got into serious trouble, and I had all the news channels calling me, "Aapne apman kiya hai, aparadh kiya hai." And I said, hang on 1 second. I have nothing against nudity. My mother streaked naked on the beach. I've done the Kama Sutra campaign. I have no issues with nudity. I have an issue with the law being divided among citizens and religion. There should be one law for one land. That is what I'm against. There has to be one law for the land. So essentially, I mean, personally, if you ask me about marijuana, I've never smoked it. I have no desire to smoke it, but I do know it is used medically in many, many states and countries across the world. I know that it has a lot of medical benefits. I know that a lot of cancer patients are given a lot of relief by it. In fact, there's a company in Orissa, I think it's called Canapane, if I'm not mistaken, that's actually manufacturing these pills and selling them, for treatment and for helping people feel better. So, I think the government possibly should relook at certain kinds of drugs, and perhaps and then again you get into that whole discussion of the tobacco lobby would never want it to happen because it'll affect tobacco sales and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you get into all the politics of all of that. But I personally feel that if something is not really harming humanity and something that is allowed, that your revered sadhus can smoke it, why can't the common man?
Changing tax, and we have just about 7, 8 minutes left. So I'll quickly want to ask you about what
Hmm.
everybody's talking these days, and that is the because of the COVID situation. That is the
Hmm.
question about immunity. So,
Hmm.
how does one enhance one's immunity? That has been encapsulated pretty well right alongside many of the vitamin C's of the world, with
Hmm.
plenty of what is available in Ayurveda and naturopathy, etc. What's your take?
Correct. Well, first you have to see what leads to a decrease in immunity. Okay, what leads to a decrease in immunity is stress. Okay, number one. So, therefore, the first thing you have to focus on are different ways and techniques to de stress yourself. So, whether you turn to aromatherapy, whether you turn to watching funny films, whether you join laughter clubs, whether you find a loving person that can comfort you and create that lovely space in your life that completely relaxes you and de stresses you. That's one. Number two is inertia. Inertia causes a lack of immunity. A lot of people have suffered more in COVID because of being stuck indoors and having the immunity lowered and having some serious diseases take place, which again then lead to stress and lead to anxiety, and again leading, therefore, in a horrible vicious circle down to your immunity levels dropping again. So, again, I would say get some form of exercise. It's extraordinarily important, right? Another one would be food. What you eat is incredibly important to your system. The amount of toxins generated, again, decrease your immunity. So therefore, go out there and have organic foods, eat healthy foods. They're healthy choices. There's so much around you. And it's so easy today with Google at your fingertips to know exactly what you should be eating. And good companies, just come to Happy Soul. We are multi-vendor. We have the best vendors across the country in terms of organic foods and natural foods and all of that. Another thing is, I know the medical professional will say, what? But over sanitizing, it's horrible. You have foreigners who come from abroad, they come to India and they fall sick because their immunity isn't strong enough. And the reason our immunity is strong is because we're constantly eating bhel puri of the streets and this bacteria, that bacteria. We don't care. We're exposed to so much bacteria all the time, right? So our immunity is always building itself and we're always keeping ourselves strong. The more you learn sanitize everything all the time, your immunity starts decreasing because your body is not fighting anymore. You're not keeping those soldiers, armed and ready at all times. So I would say please refrain from over sanitizing your hands constantly. I'm completely against it. Another thing I think would be very importantly is sleep. I can't stress enough the importance of sleep when it comes to building your immunity. So whether it's listening to binaural beats on the internet, whether it's certain essential oils that you inhale at night before you go to sleep, certain foods you can have, certain things like chamomile tea that you could drink before you go to bed. There are so many wonderful ways to put yourself into a really calm, peaceful, blissful state, enjoy a good night's sleep, and wake up full power for the next day.
The more important is to switch off your TV and your phone and not Google too much half an hour before sleep. Otherwise, sleep won't come. Last but not the least, India and the entire world, in fact, is suffering from the two most common diseases, that is anxiety
Yeah.
and depression. I mean, 300 million people depressed, 260 million people with anxiety disorders.
Mhm.
Your thoughts?
Well, firstly, when I do my workshops, I have this chart called the Wheel of Emotions. And unfortunately, today the word depression is also a very misused word. If you're sad, I'm depressed. If you're anxious, I'm depressed. If you're worried, I'm depressed. If you're frustrated, I'm depressed. If you're bored, I'm depressed. If you're lonely, I'm depressed. No, that's not the way it is. Depression is a really serious clinical condition. It is one where you actually need to go to a doctor and be treated for it, right? It's very, very important to take note of that. Everything else has an answer. So in the wheel of emotions, it's very clear. It kind of has this one word, and then it branches out into various other words that it could possibly be, and you identify on that whether you're actually lonely, bored, frustrated, nervous, feeling rejected, feeling what is it exactly. And when you know the exact emotion, you can deal with the exact way to deal with it. If you're lonely, you know what? I'm going to go out and make some more friends. If you're feeling rejected, all right, let me go and feel how I'm accepted. If you're feeling bored, all right, let me find something that infuses me with passion. So when you know the exact emotion that you're experiencing, not just coding it in a blanket of depression, it's so much easier to once you analyze to actually find solutions and the way forward. Also, there are many ways to trigger what we call happy hormones. We have all have these four essential happy hormones. There's serotonin, there's dopamine, there's oxytocin, and there's endorphins. And they're triggered with all sorts of wonderful ways. There's sunshine, there's laughter. Oxytocin is released through sexual intercourse, hugging, kissing, cuddling, even a pet for that matter. You have exercise, whether it's moderate or whether it's intense. There's goals, targets that you set. Those release certain dopamine elements in your brain. There's chocolate. Why do you feel so good after chocolate? Why does everyone run to chocolate all the time? Because you feel good. It triggers those happy hormones in your brain. There are so many ways. Certain essential oils you use that you inhale, and it sort of stimulates your limbic system and sends different receptory messages into your brain and into your system, and voila, you have these happy hormones released again. So there's so many ways to uplift yourself. There are so many ways to go out there and create that shift and change within you. It's all DIY. It's all in your hands. The information is out there. If you don't know, visit Happy Soul, visit our blogs. We're talking about it all the time. We're helping you, educating you on what to buy, which companies are the best, what you can do to put yourself in a happy mood, what you can do to enhance your sexual wellness, what is it you can eat better, how to exercise better. There's so many ways out there. The Google's like an ocean of knowledge out there, and so is Happy Soul. We're a wellness wonderland. And again, for all of you watching, you have to visit my stall at the Fiki exhibition. Come and see our products.
Well, I think you hit upon a new profession. I don't know how long will you be in this. You're turning out to be a very good marketer.
No, it's all part. I'm telling you, everything is led to Happy Soul. All of it is led to Happy Soul. I'm going to the master of this space. I'm going. Companies called Magicians of Wellness,
Yeah.
and the brand is Happy Soul. So I'm going to be the magician of wellness. So you're welcome to call me at any point of time, and I'm happy to help Dr. Puri.
Well, Pooja, it's been lovely talking to you. I think we could go on and on. But one last thought, a little bit
Hmm.
about India is the land of spirituality.
Hmm.
They say that this is where people come to find spiritualism. Now, I've read a very interesting definition, and that was that religion is for people who are afraid of going to hell, and spirituality is for people who've already been there. So,
so so when I meet people who have this thing, I'm into spirituality. And they say it with that sort of ego, and it's like now they're a little superior because they're now into spirituality. I laugh because the first thing in spirituality is the absence of ego. Okay, so everybody meets you with this, now I'm spiritual. I'm sorry, there's nothing spiritual about having ego attached to that journey. And yes, of course, India's a very enchanting land, and it's beautiful and mystical and magical, and it's incredible once you explore these worlds like I have. I've done 3 levels of Usui Reiki and 3 levels of Karuna Reiki and shamanism and Heal Your Life and Soul Temple and Magnified Healing. And it's just incredible what worlds open up to you when you're just open to it. And it's experiences that challenge my logical mind, because it's not possible for me to have experienced certain things, but I have. It is not in my realm of belief to have done certain things that I have done and traveled to. It's almost and yet at every step of the way, when I've challenged that experience, there's been proof that has led to an indefinable proof that's come my way that has flabbergasted me and flummoxed me. And I know worlds exist out there, and the only thing that limits us is our mind. And we're so scared of being what's out there. You see children, for example, little children, and you see them playing with imaginary things. It's like everything is open, all their chakras are open, and they're open to so much more than we are. When they grow up, you're told fairies don't exist, elves don't exist, Santa Claus doesn't exist, this one, and you start shutting off the child to everything, and so cocooning them in a world of I'll tell you how it is versus how it could be. And when you explore these magical realms and really incredible energetic spaces that all of us have access to, it's not some superpower. It's something that each one of us has access to, should you want to explore that further with an open mind. So yes, India is a very spiritually majestic place, but yes, you can have nirvana sitting in a crowded bazaar. It's not necessarily about going to some mountain top and trying to find it there. I mean, I've had some of the most bizarre experiences, while eating meat and, drinking alcohol. It's just incredible what exists around us if we just open ourselves up to these incredible dimensions that do surround us as human beings. We live in this really unfortunately warped sense of reality where we want it defined. We're so scared of being open to what else exists around us. We ghost stories and fed all of this. So we fear so much. We're so fearful as people. And that, I think, is our greatest limitation. I think the world is an oyster and open to anybody that has the passion and the intensity and the ability to just keep a very calm and a very open mind, and a logical one at that. You don't have to be into the woo-woo sciences to experience anything. I have a very logical bent of mind, and for me, every step has been very, very proof-driven. So when I do my courses, I mix and amalgamate quantum physics with Newtonian physics. I amalgamate sciences with meta-sciences, to make it very, very tangible for people who are skeptical on multiple levels, to show them the science of the meta-sciences every step of the way. So yes, we are a land that is steeped in it. So of course, people would gravitate to us for it.
Well, Pooja, I think we could go on discussions with you. You are an excellent person to talk to because you don't have opinions just on just about anything, but you are basing those opinions on the experiences that you've personally gone through over the last
Absolutely.
5 decades of your life. It reminds me of what Albert Schweitzer said: happiness is nothing more than good health and a bad memory. I thought that would be a good quote to end this conversation with you. It's been a pleasure having you with us. Thank you very much. We wish you good health, stay safe, stay happy, and just keep telling your colleagues and everyone in India, do wear a mask. Thank you, Pooja.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Bye bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Really wonderful hearing the conversation, and really appreciate that you took out time for us.
It's a
So thank you
pleasure.
once
It's an
again.
absolute
I'm
pleasure.
really, absolutely here, and pleasure is all ours, and we'll connect again as we spoke yesterday. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.